Today what we're going to talk about is how to name the sides of a right triangle. Remember, a right triangle has to have a right angle. Now normally when we're labeling these things, we use capital letters to label the vertices or the angles. Oftentimes in a right triangle, A, B, C get used, and C is often, but not always, the right angle. So please bear in mind it's important in a right triangle that right angle opposite that right angle, so in this case side AB, is the hypotenuse. Now the convention for naming the sides is that opposite, whatever the capital letter for the vertex is the lowercase letter that indicates the side. So side A would be opposite angle A. So please bear in mind then when we're talking about opposite, if you look at the two sides that make up the angle, that is this side and this side that are involved with making up angle A, the other side, the third side not involved, is the opposite side. So, that being said, if you can do that, then you can certainly name the sides of a right triangle pretty easily. So that would mean side B would be here between A and C, and then side C would be opposite angle C, aka between A and B. So that would mean then we're looking at C being the hypotenuse in this case. Please bear in mind if we change around how we label things, like let's say we want to go A, then B, then C, then that of course then changes how the sides are labeled. Let's make sure we get this right. So in this case, B is now the hypotenuse. The reason I say that is because in this case, if you were thinking of Pythagorean theorem, it would be A squared plus C squared because those are the legs equals B squared. So pay more attention to the leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. So it's a little bit different, but not too much different, when you're talking about angles and their opposite and adjacent sides. So when you're looking at an angle, like let's say we're looking at angle A right here, right? We want to be able to identify what the opposite side is. Well, just like if we were naming it, it would be little a, or in this case, this side here. So the side opposite angle A would be this side length right here. Then the adjacent could be easily found as long as we knew the hypotenuse. Now, the hypotenuse, as we know, is this side here, opposite the 90-degree angle. And then that would mean adjacent, remember the word adjacent simply means next to, would be this side length here. Now, depending on what angle you're looking at, if we're looking at A, this is the opposite and the adjacent and the hypotenuse. If we were looking at angle C, then things change slightly. Now the hypotenuse is always going to be the hypotenuse. That is not going to change. However, in this case, the opposite side and the adjacent side have flip-flopped. So depending on which angle we're talking about, the opposite and the adjacent will change where the hypotenuse will not.